everybody, and welcome to Shannon Larkin's live spirit stream. I'm Shannon. It's a show about music. I'm going to be talking about some exciting things that happened this week for me musically. I'm going to talk a little bit about the music business today. I'm going to play some music, of course, and I'm going to talk about upcoming things that I have on this live spirit stream, streaming through the spirit, out through the airwaves of streams that I often wonder what they look like. If you could see all those streams going out in the air, imagine walking around through the streams like we do, but being able to perceive it like perhaps they do in another parallel universe or something. I don't know. I got my thing. Watch this shit. I will come in now a little bit. Look at that. I only have my phone, my little iPhone for a monitor here. But as usual, I have my friend Craig over there on the other side of Florida, drummer for Gaston. And he's going to text message me, which I can get on my iPad if y'all want to drop me a note or something. Even though I can't see them, I hope that you're sending up likes when you like stuff, because I'll look later and be able to see it. Or send me a heart. You can sigilize your dreams, you know. So I wanted to say real quickly, because I'm very excited. I'm a generally excitable dude anyway. But football, it's upon us. And so next week, you'll probably start seeing some Raiders gear happening, just saying. Raider Nation. And very, very excited. It's like I literally have withdrawals in those off months. And then I don't really enjoy watching hockey or baseball on the television. Hockey and baseball are really fun to go see live. It's a whole different animal. Every play, it's something. But on television, I can't take it. So, football. And football is not so many damn games either. So anyway, very, very excited. I was going to show, I have a really cool Raiders painting over there. But with the future of this show, which I've always said will someday include drums. It's all a work in progress. So, but for now, but when I do play drums, where I was getting is that I'll show you all this really cool painting I have of a bunch of old Raiders, classic Oakland Raiders. It's really cool. Anyway, that day will come when I'm playing the drums for y'all, which will happen. I want to. I'm playing all the time. That's another reason I'm very excited. Tony Rombola came over today. And you might know both of us from Godsmack. Decades of Godsmack. And writing together, touring together, living together. Well, when we left Godsmack, that didn't end. And so that's what we've been doing for the last year and a half. Writing, recording. Now we're in the process of dealing. Signing some record deals, maybe. You know, everything looks good to me. I'm waiting now, but it's all happening. It's all happening. And it's exciting times. But the most exciting thing, I gotta say, was today when Tony Rumbola came over, and we go Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We're like well-oiled. And the days in between, we can work on what we've been working on the days we're together. So that each day, usually one song a week, and those 3 days, by the last day, we have all the bugs worked out, we have it done. And we recorded, which I've been playing you a little bit here and there, 5 new songs. And then I also explained that in today's world, at least, in Independentville, where we're trying to put out some music, they expect full-length records. They don't like EPs. The reason being, it's the same cost to them to manufacture and distribute the EP as it is the LP. Costs out of their pocket. However, they can't sell the LP. They can't sell the EP for as much as they can sell the LP, even though it's the same price to distribute, put out there. So they don't like to make EPs, which I was really hot on. I thought, wow, in today's ADD world, the EP, it's perfect. I can still sequence it, make the journey, make the trip, but it's only 35 minutes. And to keep people's attention in this digital world, it's pretty hard these days. So, the full length. And today was the final track that we completed. The next 5 songs. After recording 5, I played you a couple. We got, over the last few weeks, have been working on the next 5 to complete the full-length record. And so, I'm so excited because Tony comes over here with this riff that is so cool. And it's so, it's just different. It's so apocalypse. And it was so perfect for the 5 that we have now, because it's rather eclectic, like uppy, heavy blues kind of rock. But little chili peppers in there, I'm told. And bluesier, though, and it's just different and cool. And I'll play you some more of it, maybe. But I do know that today was just the most exciting time. And I told Tony Rambola sitting in there, we always will come in here and he'll show me a riff and I'll be sitting out there by him, not behind the drums yet. And he's playing at low volume. So I can have my hearing aids in and hear him talk. Say, is that the verse? Oh, that's the chorus. Oh, 2 at the end of that part. And we're discussing while he's showing it to me. And in my mind, I'm thinking of the drum beats, and I'm thinking of where the vocal's going to sit, and melody for the vocal, perhaps, because that dictates how hard I'm going to hit the drums if it's a more floating melody. And all these things are happening. He shows me his riffs, and he always brings, like if he has the monster riff, the killer riff, the main riff, that's the hook riff. Then he'll always have like a bridge and chorus to go with that magic. And then it's up to me to try and formulate it with him into a song. Put in some, I usually add some kind of transitional stabs or mini bridges, I call them. And then we do our thing. And today, it's my favorite one. Even of the ones I've played y'all on the 5 we have. We got 5 more now, but we finished the last one, the 5th one today, and I think it's the best one. And that's even before Shane Hall and Benny Goodman and Brian Carpenter get a hold of it. Because that's how we do it. Tony and I will make the magic here like that, and then we give it to other magicians. And they put their magic on it. Anyway, I wanted to tell you all about that. And tease again, Because, I guess here we are. But, tell your friends, come to my channel, Shannon Larkin's Inside Skinny Productions, and just check out some videos. I don't post a lot, so your algorithm's not going to get all over full of everything that I post. And if you like rock and punk and metal, funk and blues, you'll probably like my posts anyway. Which reminds me, another thing that I want to do someday, as in the future, I talk about the future. And my mantra is no rushing. I do not rush anymore. Everything comes. You got to believe it and will it. That's all. And make it happen. And I'm working on all this stuff, especially for the drums, because I know that it'll be fun and people want to see me play the drums because I'm passionate. And that passion, it carries over so that people watching me can tell I'm passionate. Wow, he's passionate. He has a thing, about the way I can show you to play a certain song. That might, if you play it this way, it sounds like one thing. But if you play it this way, it sounds like another. I know people not watching are going, what's he talking about? What's he on about? But all you drummers understand. And I'm sure that some people that watch this show are drummers. And they're going, when's he going to play drums? When's this guy going to play drums? And I'm telling you, I'm teasing you, I'm gonna. And I'm going to enjoy it immensely. And I'm red hot right now. Because I've been playing a lot of drums here in this very room. And they're beautiful Yamaha drums, by the way. I never really plugged my companies, but my companies, when I walked away from this huge band to just not be in the public eye, touring, making videos, all that stuff, but just to make music in my studio. The proverbial old ex-rock star creep that just makes music in his studio. And that's what the last year and a half has been for me and my friend Tony Rambola. But the production of it and the creativity and then the end result of what we feel is just great music in all different genres has been more satisfying than walking on stage in front of 100,000 people. And today, I looked right at Tony, we go in here, we write. I was telling you, he'll show me, then I'll get behind the drums and I'll start playing what I had, the beats that I've written in my head as he showed me the new songs. And then I might put in my ideas of speeding it up a little usually, or perhaps slowing it down, and then putting a stop here to accent, say, going out of the chorus back into the second verse. I'll do my thing like that. And he reads my mind. We read each other's minds from writing over 100 songs together over 2 decades or more. And it's something to where when I went in there and we said, all right, and I take my iPhone and just record it. Once we get it all worked out to where it's a 90% deal. Might be some intricate things that he'll do to his guitar parts and I'll do to my drum parts. But as far as the song being written in a solid arrangement that Shane can sing on this. Boy, we walked in there, and we always do that. We'll write the song and we'll walk in and I'll roll a joint and we'll hang out and discuss the intricacies of the song, what we think it might need. Should we double that chorus at the end like we did and we always seem to do, or just is it enough to cut that second chorus and then make a grandiose ending or something, AC/DC style? These are the things we're talking about after we've worked. And I looked at Tony and I'm like, dude, and I was rolling, I wasn't high. But I said, I'm high. I am high right now on this last final song. It's so rad, and the finality of writing the last song that you needed to make a full length that you can put out to the people. So it was such an exciting day. I can't stress how the endorphins, or perhaps just adrenaline from playing, we were probably in here for an hour and a half, 2 hours, putting it all together, and then recording it, then going in and contemplating the whole thing, and realizing, wow, that one was special. And every song you write special, kinda, but sometimes, it's not the one, it's not done, or it's done, but it's like a different style of song. It's not like the star of the show, but it gets the assist, if you know what I mean. But this one, and we give them working names, like Funky or whatever, and this one was just called Final. And I was just writing it, I wrote it on the board, song number 10, Final. And I just got so high. Then I rolled a joint, got high. How about that? And then we listened to our recording of it on the iPhone, which doesn't sound too bad. It's enough for us to have when it was time to record. Then we go back over each one from the iPhone and relearn it, like put the 5% more into it to where it's badass and done. Then we go and call an engineer up, usually the rad Chad, who's our local engineer here. We met him at the Vibe studio out by the airport, RSW, for you Floridians out there. But okay, I wanted to say this. Let's move on here. This is right now, it's for Frank. R.I.P. Frank Beard, the great, the immortal Frank Beard, the beardless one of ZZ Top, one of my favorite drummers, the Fandango album, Tequilo album, Tres Hombres. I mean, I loved ZZ Top. And, in the 80s with Sharp Dressed Man and all those big hits that they had come out with, I was kind of like, yeah, it was really, really different from the original, like the early ZZ. But even that shit was great, and I ended up, you can't help but, and they were, the bearded thing with the furry guitars, and you just couldn't help but like them, even if those songs, changed the sound. But, so, in memory of, in honor of the great Frank Beard, I'm going to play one of my favorite songs off the Fandango record. And, yeah, one of the coolest drum beats, and just the way he's grace noting off the stair. Grace notes. And it's just, he'll follow the guitar on the staff. It's something. And he created all kind of grooves like that. And he probably was underrated, Frank Beard, all those years. Frank was the man. The song's called Nasty Dogs and Funky King. What more could a poor boy do?
Well, I'm not down on your door, baby, to see you were at home. The shame of down on the other side, my son told me you were alone. Working, I'm missing all day, I'm trying to get next to you. it likes to you.
Shit out. You know, they hit that monster riff at the end, boy, they just fade that shit out. But you hear what I mean? The great Frank Beard. How about that? Had Sabbath queued up next. Well, but I'm not going to play that on the show. I don't think that I don't think the censorship people will come after me, or not censorship, copyright people will come after me for that 2 seconds of War Pigs I just played, but they're going to come after me for the Nasty Dogs and Funky Kings. How about that song, though? How about that drummer, Frank Beard? He will be missed. Still out there. And then, of course, Billy Gibbons, one of the greatest of all time. Any real guitarist will tell you, that guy, he's vowing to go on still after Dusty Hill died. And then a week later, they went right back out, had the new guy, who's been associated, I think he might have been Dusty Hill's bass tech even, I'm not sure. Something, it's all in the family. But Billy Gibbons is one of those cats that's a blues guy that's just will not stop. And he'll always, his guys will die around him. Like B.B. King. And he will just play on because that's all he can do. Bless his heart. The great Billy Gibbons. So anyway, Frank, love you. Never got to meet you, but I still love you. Let's check a little bit of a check for some texts. There we go. Craig. Boom. All right, Brenda Shannon, love the shirt. Hell yeah. Thank you, girl. Black Crows. Yeah, man. Don't even get me started on the Black Crows. Oh, yeah. And I figured out the hair, right? It was the number 7, which is the biggest one of my razor. So I just said, man, I don't know what to do. So click, number 7. It's like, I don't know, 1.5 inches. And then just spent the whole, probably took 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And then you get in the shower and you wash it and you get out. And you always missed a whole lot. One giant piece in the back. I'm like, geez, I'm like, damn. even though I spent 25 minutes just going back and forth, different angles, this side to side, trying to get that shit. But it's elusive. Those hairs are elusive. But I enjoyed your longer hair back in the day, I assume. And this look works for you as well. Well, thank you, Brenda. That's so sweet. This was the look that I ended up in Soul to Zero after the long-haired days of Wrathchild. And I had this look. I've always had the sideburns for some reason. I never really thought about it too hard of why I like the sideburns. I've kept these sideburns through long hair, short hair, beards, and mustaches. But I feel like this look that I have, with this length, of hair, is like the one that feels most like myself, and I feel the most normal, And ironically, I started wearing my hair like that in my 20s, Souls at Zero. And then through Godsmack, when I first joined Godsmack is when I grew my hair out. And I called that the Chrissy Hine. And I tried to, I dyed my hair black and every time where it covers the eyes, and my hair is curly. Not curly, but curly-ish. It's not straight like Chrissy Hine. So I would take one of those flat hair irons and burn my hair. Then when I joined Godsmack, and I had the straight black Chrissy Hine hairdo. And then I let it get long after that again and grew a big beard for 4. Then after that, it's been back to this. After a brief mohawk on the Oracle tour, orange mohawk that matched my drums. The suns were rising on my black drums, and it's orange color. So I had long hair from the 4 years. 4 years of hair down to here, biker looking long hair, curly kind of. And so for the Oracle, I shaved the mohawk in and did it Adam and the Ants original guitar player Matthews style, where he had long hair and braided it, and then braided it and rubber banded. And of course, I bleached it white first and then used orange and yellow to kind of make it look like flames. A flaming fucking mohawk. Then after that, back to this for the last, I don't know how many years. But thank you, Brenda. I'm glad that, because I think, and you know where I got this, basically this length? Ringo Starr. And as Ringo Starr got old, which is ironic because I saw a recent picture and he's kind of let his hair grow out with gray in it and shit. But I always liked when Ringo Starr got into his 70s and shit, he always just looked like this. Like always had short hair. He always wore sunglasses. Didn't have the burns, But I always thought, it's a good way for a man to age rather than try and have long hair when you're old, unless you have special hair, and it's just gorgeous. Or to have a mohawk, when you get in your 60s, late 60s, 70s, and you see guys with blue, purple hair or whatever. I don't know. But thank you for your kind words, Brenda. J8R9H. And then Cherry Bird's on here again. Shout out to Craig Siegel. She's shouting you out, brother. And then, not a drummer, but I love the different sounds both ways make. Okay. That metal dude too. Any chance Rambola will get on the show? Hope he's doing well. I would say the chances of Tony Rambola coming on my show are very slim to nil, because he doesn't like to do shit like this. He likes to write and play his guitar. And he's always been that way. And he's a very nice gentleman. If you meet him, he's very pleasant. He's, you know, and if I say, hey man, please come on my show, he probably would. I think I could talk him into it, especially if it was specifically about guitar. Like I say, hey man, I want to get you on my live stream. Just come over and come in and tell the people about your rigs and your favorite guitars or something like that. And he'd probably let me do that with him. And, you know, I've kept this thing on the couch and not moved the cameras around or, you know, have a different angle. But particularly, I'd like to be mobile with this show someday to where, like, I can use camera one can be my phone. But it gets involved then because the microphone has to go into my phone to bypass the camera's microphone, which is a really nice camera, the Aussie Robot, OBSBot. However, the microphone is shitty. Well, maybe not for, you know, sorry, OBSBot. I wouldn't say shitty. I'd say it's not good for a live streaming show in which I want to play loud music, and I know that my voice is low sometimes, and you probably have to turn it up a little on your phone or if you listen to it in your car or whatever, but that's because if you play music quiet, it doesn't, the bass and the drums and everything on the live stream goes away and it sounds all tinny and shit. So you got to crank that shit up. But if it's too loud, then it distorts the mic. So I keep my voice, so it's a little lower. I'm trying to project a little more. Obviously, I'm trying, you know, to where you can hear me without having to strain. Because, you know, last thing I want to be is irritating. I want to be irrelicious. So, School of Rock, Alexandria. Speaking of hair, do you remember Pantera shaving your head at the Bayou in Georgetown? Yes. Yes, School of Rock, Alexandria. I'll never forget that because that was the first time that I'd shaved off my hair. And I'd gone mohawk, like I said, I did the braided mohawks and all that stuff. The short mohawk too, you know. That's what I first started. But then I'd leave my hair grow out so that it could cover the mohawk, right? So I could walk around like a normal long hair. But then if you braid it up, then, and I had tattoos on my head and shit. And yeah, I went up, totally wasted. I mean to tell you, it, you know, Philip dragged me on stage from the crowd where I was in the pit and crowd surfing anyway. So he saw it was me, grabbed a hold of me, pulled me on stage. I could barely stand. That's how drunk that kid was at that time. It was, and Pantera, of course, you know, so I'm partying with them before the fact. In fact, yeah, we might have opened that show. No, we didn't even open that show. I was there in the pit, in the crowd, and Philip saw me, and Larkin grabbed me, proceeded to shave my head. And I remember my friends saying, oh, I was drooling and shit, fucking, you know, and Philip was laughing at me, shaved my head, threw me back in. I woke up the next day. At the time, my bed was broken, right? Literally broke my bed on a bitch. I'm not even lying. I broke it. It's a wooden futon in it, and me and this chick. Anyway, I broke my bed. And so I didn't fix it for a while. I just slept with the futon on the floor. And there was a full-length mirror. And, luckily somehow I got home after the Pantera show at the Bayou and made it home. I don't really have any recollection of that. But the next morning, I sat up, woke up in the morning, I sat up, and I opened my eyes and saw myself in the mirror. And for a second, I didn't know who it was. Who the fuck? That, and I'm all, that's right. Philip shaved my head last night. Oh my God. I'll never forget that. Yeah. All right. Brenda, again, Wrathchild, Rabbit's Foot. I cut my own hair as well, and it definitely a process for me as well. Looks great and suits you well. Thank you. Thank you. Harleys make any style look great. That's right. Well, that's rad. Thanks for tuning in to this little show, y'all. I'm just begun. And I'm going to get to the point. I teased it a long time ago. I was on it. I was on Facebook streaming a lot and trying to really get 500 of you to subscribe to my YouTube so that I could do this show specifically. And once I got that, I have done nothing else to try and grow like the viewers and find like-minded music lovers that would enjoy this show perhaps, and hearing new music that's not even out, and hearing tales from the road, stories from the music business, checking out maybe some music news, see if I can get sparked. Let's do that. Blabbermouth.net we'll go to. And there it is, the top news, Frank Beard. Let's do it again, baby. Frank. Top news on MetalNet or Blabbermouth, as it should be. Oh no. Vivian Campbell from Def Leppard. Cancer has returned. That really sucks. We'll say a prayer to the gods for Vivian Campbell to beat that cancer. You could beat it now. I say it out loud all the time because I lost my dad, my sister, one of my dogs. Cancer. Ain't no magic you can stop it. Maybe can prevent it. But I gotta believe it, because it's taken a lot. But it's a lot of technological advancement. And I'm reading things like in China that they're doing, prescribing even cancer preventatives, all this shit. But so hopefully Vivian will be okay. Oh yeah, I gotta see this. So Avenged Sevenfold, M Shadows, on changes in music industry. Everything has been blown to bits. Let's see what he has to say about it, because I'm curious. I wanted to talk about the music business a little bit today. Anyway, as I'm trying to finally release all this music, the music business has been back in my life. Even though I thought I could kind of break out of that machine, it turns out that the music business has changed so much from the machine I was trying to walk away from. And it's a whole different thing. So he says on a podcast, Artist Friendly with Joel Madden, John Madden's son, discusses band's decision to venture into the blockchain world. See, I don't even know what blockchain is. I don't even know what that means. and Avenged Sevenfold doing it. Using authentication technology and bit flips from Verify and Bitflip's expertise in collaboration with Ticketmaster and the rest of the band hope to become trailblazers at the intersection of music, blockchain, and fan engagement. So let's figure out what blockchain means by the context. I would say that blockchain is like if you maybe buy the music, you also are getting a ticket to the concert, perhaps, and could even include meet and greets, shit like that. But he says he sees the hornet's nest of the music industry, trying to figure out what's going on and what the next steps are. I'm super grateful I live in a time where there's no pure-cut path to success. There was a time when Avenged Sevenfold, we had our left foot in one way and our right foot in the other. And what I mean by that is we came up in 99, you could still sell CDs. But that, you talking my language. You know, you were on TRL, you still had the ability to do things with a $500,000 music video budget. But at this time, what was happening is the whole industry's changing, not from a music perspective, but from technology perspective. Technology, at the end of the day, is how we listen, how we adapt to what we're doing, how we view this stuff. So you have YouTube coming online, LimeWire, Napster, all that shit happened. He basically tells the story. He's 45, so he's a kid. Talk about Facebook, Instagram, taking all. That's how they make the money. I'm the product. They're taking all the money. Then I'm looking at ticketing, blah, blah, blah. If you look at it all, those companies are standing on the shoulders of artists. So when I saw blockchain, I didn't think of NFT price go up. I didn't think of Bitcoin. They're different conversations. I wasn't thinking all these fans experience. I wasn't thinking pieces of data. I'm thinking, how do I make the fans experience better? So this dude's a smart kid. Yeah. Anyway, I thought that was interesting because I was going to talk a little bit about the business anyway, and how much has changed, and realizing, you know, the boundaries of what success is. And it's basically the perception of what you feel success is yours. So I was once talking to a friend and famous rock star who I won't name just because it was a personal conversation, and I don't know if he would want this, because I look at it kind of negatively. And it was my first band, Wrathchild, right? And Terry Carter, Brad Divins, Jay Benjamin, we went, like 6-7 years of just literally DIY, touring the country in a van that we owned with 4 roadies that we paid and a truck that we owned with lights and PA. And we toured from all the way from West Virginia up to New York, out to Oklahoma, down to Texas, down to back to Florida, across to Colorado, out to LA. This is all in a van for 6-7 years of just touring, playing any club we could possibly play. And then, as we did it and the name started building our fan base and the clubs, people went out And they would come, and we started packing all those clubs all across the country. We packed clubs. And so as the clubs got bigger, particularly in our area, Hammerjacks and like in the city, L'Amour's in Brooklyn. And then the one in Queens, which was even bigger that we went to, started playing and packing. At that point, that's when all the major labels start sniffing around, and they're, and you're in the game, right? And next thing you know, there's a bidding war between Capitol and Atlantic, and we picked Atlantic foolishly. Nothing against Atlantic, but we picked the wrong deal for a very immature reason. We wanted to be on AC/DC's label and Led Zeppelin's label. We wanted to have a record, and they made vinyl back then. This is 1987, 88 when we signed. And I know me, I was like, I want to see that green and red and white label, Atlantic, with my band's name on it. And so we inked that deal. And if you know, I talk about the less than 1% club and less than 1% of bands. Think of that. It's a real statistic. Less than 1% of bands get a record deal, let alone with a major label. That's probably even less than 1%. And so we did it. That was, to me, Wrathchild was successful. We got a record deal. Not only did we get a record deal, but then we put the record out and sold some. It's not really the point. We did sell 85,000 copies, which back then was shit, but now would be a lot. And toured though, and had all these experiences. Toured with Pantera on that record. We toured with, that was the next record. We toured on that record with Testament on Practice What You Preach too. They were hot. And we toured with Armored Saint. We toured with all these bands, and then Atlantic did its second record. It was a 2-record deal. Actually, it was 1 record and then 5 options, I think. But it's their option, and they did. They gave us another record, which sold the same amount. So after that, deal was over. But the point is that when you look at success, to me, Wrathchild was successful. No, we didn't make it like when people say making it is selling millions of records or, I don't know, making millions of dollars maybe, or I don't know the term making it. But to us, we had made it. We made it. We spent our life, all of our lives, trying to get signed to a major label and go on tour and tour the world, which we did. Ended up in Europe, Gangrene. Oh man. So now, let me land this plane. So the friend I was talking to, Rockstar, was like, it's a shame because Wrathchild, man, y'all were so good. And so he liked the band, was a fan back then. He said, so it's just a shame it wasn't successful. And I was like, but in my mind I'm thinking, fuck you mean not successful? Like less than 1% of bands even get signed. We got signed to a major label, AC/DC's label, toured the world, made a couple records, toured the world. Did we make a bunch of money? No. But we sold a bunch of shirts. And, I don't know, we were happy and got to meet a lot of our idols, played shows with GBH, and Ace Frehley got up on stage and sang with us, and um, I don't know, too many memories to even try and think of right now, but success to me. And then, once it really was the end and we're like, we can't survive anymore, couldn't get gigs or whatever, it ended. And then I went on to another band, But I always looked at Wrathchild as a successful band and a successful part of my life and career in this music business. But unfortunately, a lot of people feel the way my friend feels, in that, there's no real success unless you break through to the gold and platinum and money world of it, get houses and cars and stuff. Now you're successful. But, and I longed for those things as a kid growing up, looking stars in my eyes. So I wanted to tell that little story, spurred by the whole music business thing. But, yeah, I want to, right now, while I'm on this Wrathchild thing in the past, and I like to show some vinyl records, And sometimes I'll play songs of them, but today I just want to show y'all this. So, and I have Kill 'Em All as well as Ride the Lightning and Masters of Puppet. But I wanted to bring these Metallica records in here. The original ones from back in the day when I bought them in, I'd say, I don't know, I can't remember, 1984, 3 maybe, when this came out. But so this, I'm going to come over here for you. It's going to be awesome. All right. Oops. All right, here we go. Coming in, and I'm going to have to kick it down. Kick it down, kick it over. Oh, man, look at that. Yep, the Jump in the Fire single. I'll take this plastic off of it. I had it in plastic even as a kid. I cared about my records. Look at that. Jump in the Fire single, featuring the studio version of Jump in the Fire, and then the live side, Phantom Lord, Seek and Destroy live. The great Cliff Burton, Lars Ulrich, Kirk Hammett, James Hetfield. I think this is just black vinyl. Yep, black vinyl. It's on Music for Nations Records. Music for Nations Records. So I thought that was a good one to show y'all. But I also brought this, because this is sick. And this is, that I bought back in 81, 82, the Metal Massacre record, the very first one, that featured a brand new band, unsigned, called Metallica. The song Hit the Lights. James Hetfield, Dave Mustaine, Ron McGovney, and Lars Ulrich. Different lineup. Beautiful, beautiful record. And then I thought I'd bring this, the Creeping Death picture disc. the original one. You see that? You can see that good, yeah? Look at that. Now we got Creeping Death. Side 2, Am I Evil? And Blitzkrieg. Look at that. Picture disc. Creeping Death. But then you would say, wow, damn. You're either saying that dude's really rad to have those records, or that dude's really old. But I got to show you something else here. And I wish that I had the demo. So this, and I think I've told the story on this show, but basically in a nutshell, the short version, our manager, Chip Seligman. Here, let me tell the story real quick. I'll put the camera back on. There you go. Then I'll go back and show you this rad thing. That's extreme. That's another extreme close-up I gave you there. And so anyway, our manager in Wrathchild, he was called Chip Seligman. Chip was actually a drummer in this band called BBC. But then he went into management, like drummers sometimes do. So by the time we met him, we were the first band that he managed, full-time manager, but he was a booking agent for James Turner Productions. It's still a booking agency. He still book bands. He'll book your band in DC if it's rad. Anyway, so Chip gets a package in the mail, and it's got this biography I'm about to show you, Metallica, Xeroxed. They made it, the dudes in the band. What I don't have to show you, unfortunately, because that was in 1982, 3 maybe, they weren't signed yet. And they were looking for local agencies to book them. And of course, Chip Seligman called me and said, hey, after when he put that in, and it was the No Life Till Leather demo, which featured Ron McGovney, Dave Mustaine, Lars, and James. And it had a Polaroid picture of the four of them. So they sat there and snapped, back in the day, you'd snap a roll picture and then you'd take it to the pharmacy and they'd make your pictures up for you, and then you'd get each one. And they stuffed envelopes with that picture, the 4-song demo, which had Four Horsemen, Hit the Lights, Motor Breath, and maybe Phantom Lord. 4 songs. So they stuffed the envelope with the photograph, a Polaroid picture, the 4-song demo, and this biography. And somehow in all my moves over the years, 40 years or whatever it's been, no, for 30 some years, I lost them. I know. But shit happens, you move, things, you know. Thank God I saved something to prove this. But to have that demo, that'd be something. Somebody's got it. Some promoter or booking agent in the country has that. Because they stuffed envelopes and sent them to the agencies to try and get gigs. DC, Baltimore is where James Turner Productions books. So anyway, check this out. This is so cool. It really is. It's trippy. Because they used, so what they did was, at the time, this is before they were signed, so they're trying to get shows, so they send the music, they send a picture, they send this biography, and they just stapled together basically a bunch of flyers from early shows, from their shows that they did. So, okay, October 1981, and it tells the story of the band, the bio, which I'd love to read you, but, you know, we don't have time to read a 4-page bio. But it basically tells the story of Metallica, how they got together, what shows they did, blah, blah, blah. And then look at this. Saxon and Metallica. and they called it the Young Metal Attack. Metallica, the Young Metal Attack, at the Whiskey, March 27th, 1981. There you got Y&T. Crocus, Metallica. Y&T and Crocus are two old bands that you should know. There's some, they also put, that's probably from a magazine or whatever. Picture of them, Ron McGovney, Mustaine. There's one from Northwest Metal magazine, fanzines. These are fanzines back in the day. And then here we go. They got second behind Jaguar as most promising new band on Popular Artists. Some magazine from Holland. You know, LA Weekly. They were new on the scene, man. Metal Mania. Hard Shock, Holland. Anyway, it goes on and on. Look at all this. Right? Metallica. Troubadour. Anyway, that psh, look at that coffee stains and shit all over. Who knows? All I know is that's some rare Metallica shit that I got from being there for no other reason than my manager and booking agent was like, I can't book this band. I got this package. I put it in and I can't book this. It's 1981, 82. He's like, I can't book this. No club's gonna take this. But I'm gonna give you this demo because I know you're gonna like it. And oh my God. Yeah, I liked it. Yeah. Next thing you know, I got all these cool records. So there you have it. There's my little metal moment there. So we're gonna do a Funk 5 because I always threaten to do it and I always forget. Because I do. I get to talking and telling stories, but the point is some music, right? So I played Run Fay Run by Isaac Hayes last week. Looking back at it, I could have picked 100 other Isaac Hayes songs that were better than that. But to be truthful, it came up and on my iPad in my iTunes. I mean, I didn't go to iTunes. I just went to my artists one, and it came up from the Kill Bill soundtrack. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a cool song. It is a cool song, but it's not his funkiest work. You know what I'm saying? And I like the funk. And so the best funk record, and I show you all these drumsticks, and I always say Anderson .Paak, Malibus by ProMark. They're cool sticks, a little lighter, a little thinner than mine, but Anderson .Paak is one of my favorite living drummers and my absolute favorite funk, hip-hop, whatever drummer, funk. And so he got together with the multi-talented Bruno Mars a few years back. And they did the Silk Sonic, an evening with Silk Sonic. Even emceed by the great Bootsy Collins of Parliament and Parliament Funkadelic. And they made this one-off record. It won like 5 Grammys, of course. I mean, Anderson .Paak not only is one of the greatest drummers ever, but he can also sing right up there with Bruno Mars, and that's saying something. Because Bruno Mars, like him or hate him, that kind of pop music that he did, and that dude can sing like nobody's business. And when he put out with Anderson, when they hooked those two dudes in a studio, smoking and making music, Oh man, Silk Sonic was the result. And I'm going to play some Silk Sonic on my Funk for Five, where I play 5 minutes of funk on a music show. I never said this was a metal or punk show or whatever, or an alternative music show. But what I said was, it's a music show, and I'm going to play some eclectic, cool music on it. But I got to find my boy first. Hold on here. Where's my, see, this is it, people. Live show. That's what I always try and say. There it is. Go for the live show thing. And of course, I'm very not good with all the gadgets, gizmos. Today, Tony and I were talking after we wrote the final song for the ABR, completed the record musically. And I was like, man, I have this really rad microphone, expensive microphone. It's modeled after one of the old tube mics, but it doesn't cost that much. They're like 20 grand. This is like 3 grand. But, and I'm like, man, I wonder, because I use this streaming mic. It's probably like $100 or something. I don't know. And it sounds pretty decent for live streaming. That's what it's built for, I guess. And so, but this mic, this expensive super mic, is like a super mic. You can, vocals just sound warm and rich, drums, percussion, anything you want to do. Like if I want to do a shaker, it's right on there. Anyway, I was thinking, man, I've explained even on this show earlier how this microphone hooks into my phone, and then it goes from my phone to the camera by bypassing the camera's whack microphone, right? I was thinking, wow, what if I could put that mic in? But, and where I get back to my story is, and Tony said, yeah, you'd need some kind of gizmo. I'm like, gizmo? And that gizmo would be like a box that big, because that microphone has a big 3-jack plug, right? So I'd plug into the gizmo. The gizmo would work the magic inside how gizmos can do, and be able to plug in the camera into this side, because the camera plug is a simple telephone, iPhone jack. And so it's not, I would need a gizmo. That microphone way too powerful. This microphone, actually, that's why I have to have my phone on a charger, because this microphone sucks a lot of juice out of my phone as it's going down. And if my show was any longer than 2 hours, then I'd need a second phone, because this microphone would suck all the juice out of mine. So anyway, where was I? I want to play some Silk Sonic for the fun. See, I almost did it. I just want to play 5 minutes of funk, and I almost forgot again when I got off on this gadgets and gizmo discussion. I had to tell that Rambola story. Gizmo. Gadget, gizmo, starts with a G. Gematria. I don't know, Gone with the Wind. But I'll tell you, this starts with an S. Silk. Silk Sonic. And for your listening and funk pleasure, I will play Fly As Me, which was indeed a song that you might have heard. So I could play something deeper, because you probably heard Fly As Me was like, it probably won 5 Grammys, I think. Or no, Leave the Door Open. That one won the big Grammys. But Fly As Me has one of the, I'll play it for Anderson .Paak. Even if you've heard it before, just check his drums out. This is something, y'all.
1, 2, make you wanna. deserve to be with somebody as fly as me, somebody this fly. And you deserve to be seen with somebody as fly as me, somebody this fly. Oh, don't let me trick you with the guitar. Okay, now silk sonic smooth like a map, float like a butterfly on every single track. And the only language that I speak, girl, is back. So once I give this game to you, I can take it back. Complimentary from a 1977 Monte Carlo, hard act to follow. It's showtime, trying to boo you up like it's the Apollo. You're all suspicious, let's get down to business. You and me together, ooh, that's something different. Oh, come on, I don't ask for much. I really don't, girl. I just want what's there. Look at it, I'll bring that fire and desire, baby. All you gotta do is this. All you gotta do is meet me halfway there. I deserve to be with somebody as fly as me, somebody this fly. And you deserve to be seen with somebody as fly as me, somebody this fly. Now for real, I'ma need y'all to understand. Let's get it. If you don't know what we talking about, I'll bet the whole band help me spell it out. Yeah, if you don't know what we talking about, concentrate, get you, say help me spell it out. You ain't never seen nobody this. It's like we back in school again. Like around children, don't spell it out. You ain't never seen nobody this. And I'm gone. I deserve to be with somebody as fly as me, somebody this fly. And you deserve to be seen with somebody as fly as me, somebody this fly. And I'm gone. Somebody this fly. Yeah. And I'm looking for somebody this fly. I can't help it. I wanna know. Still Sonic, let me get the 3 B's in the biscuit.
Yeah. I mean, it's. Come on. Come on. I mean, I couldn't even focus my camera right after listening to that, how funky that was. I could smell that with the funk stank. What that funky smell? That shit is funky. Anderson Pop. And he get the up and down, shika dooka dooka baka dooka dooka baka. Ah, come on. Yeah. That's something, right? So, I also wanted to hear, I'm going to move on to this, you know. See, that'll signify now moving on to the next thing. And that'd be checking. See if anybody has any more questions from my friend Craig that's helping me out here. 8:55. Oh. Coaster Crazy 2007. Remember intestine casserole with cheese on cassette tape? I wore it out. You did. I do remember it. Intestine casserole with cheese. The great David Lucky Richards, a.k.a. Madman. John Fonstock, a.k.a. Tumor. And the Kid, a.k.a. Triple X. RC. I will come in and show you the tattoo. It's right below. It's hard to see, man. I'm telling you. My tattoos. But anyway, I have the RC logo right there. I have a lot of logos from pretty much all my bands. That's one of the things I'd get tattoo-wise. when I'm in a band, I'm all in it, you know. RC stands for ripped clit. Yes. Because David Lucky Richards, rest in peace. But he had a big fat beer can sized cock. And yeah, the story goes he ripped this girl's clit. And so he called the band Ripped Clit. And we were grindcore. And that intestine casserole with cheese was grinding. But the next thing that we did was called Mother Mary Jane. And we had done the Brown Cow. Made a little record, 45 with like 9 songs on it. But yes, I still have that one, by the way. Even though I lost the Metallica No Light Till Leather demo, I do have Intestine Casserole with Cheese. And you know, we colored each one of those, the 3 of us. And we did lots of acid back then, me and Dave and Toomer. And we would sit around and color 300 RC cassettes. And we'd sell them through Maximum Rock and Roll magazine and Flipside magazine and some of these old, you know, punk magazines that, you know, and we trade them. Tape trading was something back then for the underground. And grindcore, you didn't hear that. Napalm Death had just come out. So they were one of the first really grinding. But yeah. Okay, and then also Coaster Crazy, 2007. Success is the brotherhood of the band. That's true too, man. The brotherhood of the band. If you have that, you can have success. Think of the bands that are not in the less than 1% and they never get a record deal and they are still as love to write songs and love to hang, the brotherhood, comradeship, and having a result. It's a little different than when you're just getting together with your friends to watch the football game or go to the bar or go to dinner. You get your brotherhood, comradeship, and then you go back to your life and family until you see them again or whatever, friends, right? But when you're in a band and you get together, you're making music together. So there's a result of this brotherhood and comradeship that becomes like having babies, little pieces of you. For real. School of Rock, Alexandria. How bad was the old blacked out magic bus? Oh man, I think you're probably referring to the van that I was talking about that we owned in Rothschild, perhaps. It was actually a Dodge van that we called the Scowl. The Scowl. 7 years. And when the band did break up, Jay, our guitar player, ended up taking ownership of the Scowl because he's a mechanic, and so whenever we broke down, which was a lot, on tour all over the country, Jay had the skills to fix it. And he would get under the van or on top of the van. You know, we had this, that particular Dodge van had like the AC system was on top of the van. And this like, and, or a fan or some system was up there that was always breaking, and Jay could fix it all. But that was the Scowl. It was a magic bus though, I'll say that. And we had many memories in that Scowl. Memories that I can't even say on this show. Some of the things we did in that van, in the Scowl, in the 80s, early mid-80s, on tour, in a long-haired rock and roll band. That van has some history. Has some history. Coaster Crazy. Time we played with you guys, it was like entering into the house of a right family who all were tight as hell like brothers. Every time we played with you guys. Man, we were brothers from other mothers. Even our parents knew and liked each other. It's different when you're in a small town band. And I saw a thing with Steve Whiteman the other day, and sometimes he'll talk. He had the show for a while, did quit doing the podcast, but I've still seen him giving some interviews to Rick or something. And in a recent one, I saw him talking about a brawl had broken out, like up in Lemoore, Brooklyn, New York. And, you know, everyone just kind of jumped in, even if we're 115-pound skinny rock dudes, because that's what you do. And it's like you come from this small town and you're in the big city, and so you watch each other's back. But specifically because you're from a small town, you know, it's different. It is more familial, and it is more indestructible, and I'm still best friends with all three of those guys, you know, 40 years later. So yeah. It was never, we never had to act, you know, and we had issues over the years. We were together for, 12, 13 years before I left at the end of Souls at Zero for me, because then they got Jamie Miller and made a great record called A Taste for the Perverse, Souls at Zero, with Jamie Miller from Bad Religion, Snot, Emmett Pitbulls on drum. And that was pre-Snot and Bad Religion, of which Jamie Miller's still in. And you'll see him sometimes with Snot. If he can do it, he'll do it. It's fun. Watch his shit. Hold on. Achoo! Bless me. I'm going to take a drink after that one. Jeez. I don't know what came over me. I cranked the AC down today. Me and Tony writing that final song. I'm telling y'all, such a rad song. My favorite. Doesn't even have vocals yet, but anyway. Yeah. I had to crank the AC down because it was getting hot in here. And I was starting to hit them, boy. Let me see. Ever attend meetings since you quit the sauce? Just curious. Cameron Sonnier. Or Sonnier? Sonnier. Cameron. Yeah, well, what happened with me was I did that 30 days in the whole thing and went over to Recovery Unplugged, which is a rehab center. And I was like, I need help. And so I went in there for 30 days and I took the book, and embraced Alcoholics Anonymous and the blue book. And then when I got out of rehab, then I had time off from the band and everything. I was in Smack at the time still. And so when I got out of the rehab, and the Apocalypse Blues had been signed while I was in rehab, by the way. So I got out of rehab, and I agreed to myself to stick on the program and do the 90 days of meetings every day. And I did. And like on Thursdays, I'd have to drive across town to find the meeting. And it was wild, hearing all the different stories. You know how it is if you're in the program. But then after that 90 days, and I tell the world this, it's the truth. And I didn't smoke weed either. And I've smoked weed all my life. And I don't think it hurts anything. So that's just, I've always been pro-pot activist. I marched on D.C. I lived near there. But we went to the very first pot march and all that shit. Anyway, I love weed. But, you don't do it in rehab, obviously. So 30 days there. And then so I did. I got out, didn't smoke weed for 3 months, basically. And did 90 meetings. And then never went back. And the reason is by the third month of going to these meetings, I was also going to bars, and with my wife at the time, and trying to go back into normalcy and prepare myself to be able to re-enter my world of Godsmack and being the host of the party. That was a thing. I have to be around alcohol in what I consider my job, which is to throw the party. People go to a concert, they come backstage to meet the band or something, and we've always been, every band I've been in, it's been like, what's up, man? Want a beer or shots? You know what I mean? It was always a party. And that's just, I don't know, how it was. And with every band I've been in, Ugly Kid Joe, we partied. Amen, fucking partied. And drugs and alcohol. And Godsmack partied. And so I didn't want to be, that dude, that was the Debbie Downer of the backstage, and because I'm not partying. And it wasn't about me. I'm how I am. So I get up and I can party without drinking. But I had to, when I got out of the rehab, and then after the 90 days, throughout those 90 days, one of the first things I said to my ex-wife was, I got to get out and go see some bands, go this weekend, see some bands, and go to the bar, and I can hang out with friends and shit and party. But without alcohol, without drinking, willpower. And I did that for months. And by the time we got back with the boys, Godsmack, and we went on tour, then it's same thing as it was before. I'd bring my friends backstage, open up the fridge, get them beers. Want a shot? You know what I mean? And I didn't have to do it. And so anyway, why did I not go back to the meetings? Because by the third month, for me, having, I don't know, experienced quite an epiphany or 10 in rehab, and found that I do have this inner happiness if I focus, that I don't need to drink. And I can still have fun and laugh, and it almost became, wow, it's like seeing my friends drunk was hilarious, and I was so grateful to not, God, just to not be drinking. And I don't know, it worked. Like rehab for me worked along with the the program. But by that third month, now I'll get to land this plane. By that third month, my God, all the stories, it was bringing me back. Like I felt like, geez, I almost wanted to drink because of these. It was becoming reverse psychology, these meetings. And I was like, okay, I've had enough. I found this inner happiness now. I don't want to drink, like. So, I don't want to go to these meetings keep being reminded of how bad of a drunk I was, through other people's stories that I can relate to. And I go, oh, geez, I did that one time or whatever. Now I'm back in that world that I left behind and don't need. And so going to AA meetings is like revisiting. But that said, if somebody, my friends sometimes call me and they're fucked up or something, and they will reach out to me for some advice on, hey man, because of my recovery has been, I am a different person and a much happier person. And I still go through the normal issues like of ego. And like when I left the band, the big one, that's been almost 2 years ago now. And I've talked to other friends that, had been in bands and then, got to this level of success and fame or whatever, because I'm not real famous. I got 50 people maybe watching me. But the fame as far as your band, like Godsmack was famous, you know what I mean? And I was part of it. So the fame thing there. But, when it goes away, it goes away like when I walked away from it, or some people are, fired from it, all of a sudden you're fired from your band. Or some people have this successful era and then something trends and changes and then their band is history, Cinderella or whoever, you know what I mean? And your ego, you have to kind of deal with, and you walk around a little differently when you're not in the band anymore, at first. And it's just your ego. Like I said, I went through this whole spiritual awakening when I realized that it did make me feel different to not be in the big band anymore or whatever, as I started, trying to control my bands and the recordings and, have like childish outbursts if I felt disrespected, and from just, being in my role for a long time and not being the one in control, and directing the shit, pushing. I'm a pusher. They call me a pusher, not drug. Or, I'll advertise, like the great Peter Tosh said, legalize it and I will advertise it. Yeah. Let me see. Some of my fave Jamie, aside from Souls, was Night Horse. That's from V.K. Solansky. Night Horse. I don't know that one. How about that? Um, but I know that Jamie did, or still does, The Start. And that's with Amy Echo, who I believe is his girl. And I hope they're still together. If not, they're still in a band, so that's cool anyway. That means if they're still doing The Start, which they are, because I saw a picture recently, so The Start was playing, and it had Jamie's picture in it. So, and it made me happy because I know Jamie, he's a great songwriter too, and he, but kind of like me in a way, in that. I'm not saying I'm a great songwriter. I'm saying we write songs that are alternative, on the outside, kind of the mainstream, and what even, Godsmack for sure, but even Bad Religion, is a more than what Jamie and I write in our respected side projects. It's more alternative. That's what we are. But it works it's all, you can still do it. Like, while I was in Godsmack, we put out the Apocalypse Blues, we put out the Another Animal, as I'm in it. So you can do it. But what you can't do is control it. Because the big band that you're in, Bad Religion, Godsmack, whatever it is, it controls, like, your schedule. So, like, the side thing is, you might have some controls of the music. And that's what I'm talking about, control, by the way. When I say childish outbursts, I'm trying to, control that it's the baddest ass thing. So I'll be like, I don't like that part, or whatever, And then my band, it's my band. And of course, that was my ego. Even though technically they're my bands that I put together and started and assembled this motley crew of amazing musicians. I've surrounded myself firstly with my partner, my writing partner, Tony Wambola, the Godsmack dude, is a butterfly, and endless riffs, endless creativity, endless ideas, calm, general, great demeanor. And I'm real excited. We got something coming up. He's going to help me on 2 Spirit Wheel songs that I'm doing to complete part 2 of Spirit Wheel. Another 5-song Spirit Wheel part 2 coming soon. We're working on it. But that won't be for a while. 6 months, 7 months before part 2. And I'll probably re-release. I might not. I'm not sure yet. But I do know that the Another Animal Project and the Apocalypse Blues Revival, I'm working on some deals to get that music out there independently, but, worldwide distribution, all that shit. 50-50 deal, licensing, the deal, right? I'll talk about the music business. I wanted to break something out here. So I talk about the music business. And what do we got? Shit, I got 20 minutes. I wrote this book a long time ago. And the number's obvious, 420. So I picked 420. Over the last, this was probably, I was in, I'd say at least 25 years ago, right? And what I envisioned was, there was a book called Life's Little Instruction Book. And it would have these, sometimes one small paragraph, but sometimes just one sentence, quotes or sayings, or, inspirations, or little bits of knowledge, and it was written by a gentleman for his son going off to college. So Life's Little Instruction Book, I'm trying to think of an example of one of his little instructions. But, you know, I don't know, always put the toilet seat down. Or things like that, that you don't, not like philosophical, but things that you could physically do, and then a lot of philosophical. But anyway, it was a cool book that my mom had put in the bathroom. And so, you know, I'd go in there and always, you could grab it and just open it anywhere. And it was numbered. And his was like, it had, 512, tidbits. And anyway, his son thought it was so cool when he got to college, and he got the idea, wow, if I make it just a little book, like a bathroom or coffee table, a little coffee table book. And he did, and got a publishing deal, and his dad put they put the book out, Life's Little Instruction Book. There was a part 2, it was a hit. And so my mom had found it. This probably, I don't know, God knows, and well, my mom, so 79, I don't know. So it was late 70s, early 80s when Life's Little Instruction Book came out. So anyhow, all these years later, and still 20 years ago, how about that? Frank Beard, we love you. Rest in peace, my friend. So anyway, I wrote a similar kind of book, a set of 512 suggestions, observations on how to live a happy and rewarding life, like Life's Instruction book. I had, 420 suggestions, observations, and reminders on how to live a more happy and rewarding life in the music business. And as I toured all over the world for decades, I would just add liners to this notebook. It started before Godsmack, and I have a Amen sticker, which I scratched out the bottom because I would bring this notebook everywhere with me. And one of Amen's, you can't even see it because it's so old and worn, but it's a picture of Jesus Christ, the Christ, and he's totally like, like this beatific smile, head thrown back, and it says Jesus fucks. We thought that was funny. I don't know. Casey Chaos, very dark sense of humor, but it was meant lighthearted, Anyway, so let's pretend like that I would have published this book, which I will. I've written a few books. This is one of them that I finished years and years and years ago. I haven't had time in my life to try to publish, and I wouldn't even. It's the same thing that I wanted to do, and what I did with Spirit Wheel. Self-publish and sell it at my Inside Skinny Productions YouTube channel, which you can go to and subscribe for me, please. It's you won't get swamped. My algorithm's cool. Hit that button. Tell your friends, hit the subscribe button. Go over to Inside Skinny. Watch the show, this little music show on Wednesday nights. Hear some stories, hear some music. Oh yeah, some music that no one's ever heard. I gotta play some new shit for you too. And again, you know, I'll play one of the new I'll play one of the new ABR songs. I wish I could play y'all the song Tony and I wrote today. Oh my God, it's our best one. But anyway, I'm gonna play you. I'll play you. I'll play you Private Garden because it's the most rock one I think, but it's got this funky ass clavica in it like Stevie Wonder and shit. So I'll go with that one, and we'll listen to a little bit of this. I'll try and find some video. Not mixed.
She's enticing. She looks so good in the sun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like it. All right. That's a good one, right? In my private garden. Yeah. Yeah, man. Shane Hall, singer on that one. Shit, man. He wrote that one. His private garden. Shane's in his private garden out there in California. Shane Hall, Californian. Yeah, man. Came here to Florida with some of that Cali love. Put it on tape. Put it on tape. It's trippy and rad is what that dude is. I'm gonna play some shit right now. Spirit Wheel. This one's out. It's on Inside Skinny Productions. And if you go to Shannon Larkin 'S Inside Skinny Productions at YouTube, and then you click on Enter Channel, there is a link there. And you click on that, it takes you right to the store where the record is. It's a record, but not really. It's a digital record. But you can pay for it just like anything else with a credit card. And it's $6 for 5 songs. Spirit Wheel. That's Shannon Larkin's Inside Skinny Productions YouTube. There you go. And there's my plug. Here's the music. Let the music do the talking, baby. Come on.
fills me up with butterflies. She could use her lips to draw the line. She could care less about good time, 'cause she's so far out. She's so beautiful, beautiful. She makes her own light and hides me in the shadows. I can rejoice in the fact that she loves me unconditionally. Why would I lie? She sings in the shower and buries my treasure. I can rejoice in the fact that she tells the world that she was made for me. Why would I lie? She demands the respect she deserves with those big charming eyes. Those big charming eyes. Those big charming eyes. Those big charming eyes.
Yeah. That's some trippy shit, right? You should hear it on acid. Specifically mixed for those that like mushrooms. I don't know why, or do I? I've had fun. I know I played some good music, told some stories, showed off some crazy shit, right? Isn't that crazy? The Metal Up Your Ass biography. That's something. Played some funk. How about that Silk Sonic, man? Everybody should get that record. I'm gonna go get some food. Maybe watch some reruns of football games. Like now, I'll watch the reruns. My girlfriend will fall asleep on the couch. I'll go back over to NFL Network, try and catch some of the games that I didn't see, like the Cincinnati game. I didn't see that one. Anyway, football season. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Music, magic, love, football, family, friends. Find them, feel them, fuck them, forget them. Nope. Wrong 4F Club. Little Mentor's humor there for you old school punkers. Anyway, listen, y'all. I'm going to go. I'm going to X this here. Boom, like that. I'm not signing off, because I do this every week. There's a real little button, see, that I have to push. But I like to look at you when I'm talking to you. And I can't look at you at the same time and press the button. So I've hovered over the button. But thanks for joining me, y'all. And hopefully you'll come join me again next Wednesday. Play some more music, tell some more stories, talk more about love, life.